be up in 1 second. Just waiting for the stream to hit Facebook. Facebook is slow. Facebook's always slow. There we go. Alrighty, looks like we are live now. So, welcome. My name is Brian Morrison. Thanks for joining me this evening. We've been doing over the last couple of weeks building out a CRM using VueJS with a NodeJS backend. So I've been kind of recording and logging my process along the way. Before we get started, I'd appreciate if you could subscribe, and on YouTube, subscribe there, hit the notification, like me on Facebook, follow me on Facebook, whatever social networks do these days, because I'm not up and up on the social networks. But with that said, before we actually get started, I did say last week, one of the things I wanted to do is go through the process of, there was a random string function that I found online that I stole. Basically, I attempted to explain it and failed miserably. So I wanted to go ahead and take a second and do that here today. This was the function here, math.random toString 36 substring 215. I had no idea how to explain that. So I took a moment, and what we're going to do is we're going to go through this step by step and explain exactly what it does. I recently read a JavaScript book that kind of explained how a lot of this stuff works. I realize you can't see my screen. Hold on. Switch that. There we go. I just finished reading a book going through a lot of how the nitty-gritty functions of JavaScript work, but I didn't have them all memorized. This is one of them. Some of the more random ones I didn't memorize. So math.random, just reading through on the JavaScript documentation, their website, the math.random function returns a floating point pseudo-random number range from 0 to 1 with approximately uniform distribution over that range. Basically, it returns a random number. And we're not using that one. I created a code pen here so I can basically step through this and show you exactly what it does. The console is down below here, and we're going to just go ahead and type this out and kind of go step by step. So first thing I'm going to do is math.random. So hit enter here. You can see we get this .62 blah 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 blah, right? Totally random. Then we're going to do a toString. Type in a 36. Now 36 indicates it wants it to translate the numbers into letters. I guess it is this base 36. Base 36 is a binary to text encoding scheme that represents binary data in ASCII format, translating it into radix 36 representation. So basically it converts it to numbers based on its 36 is a convenient digit that represents the Arabic numerals 0 through 9, in Latin A through Z. So it converts it to letters, basically. And the last thing we did is we did a substring selecting everything between index 2 and index 15, right? So basically, trim off everything that is not a number. Whoops, hold on a second. There you go. So it just trims it and grabs, it gets rid of the 0 and the period, and then gets everything after that. So that kind of gets us our random number here. So you can see if I go ahead and just duplicate this, and you can do this as many times as you really want. Enter, boom, there's one, there's one, there's one. So there you go. I answered that question from last time. I promised I would, and I did. So moving on from there, we're going to hop over into the CRM, and we're going to continue along. So here's my code. Actually, before I even get started there, I wanted to show, this is kind of a list of what we're doing. I created a Trello board with what I'm working on. This is what we're going to try and attempt to do today. I didn't get a chance to finish all of this last week, so our main focus is going to be able to add notes into the customer itself. So, and also recapping, I'll show you what we've got so far. Let's bring this up. We've got customers. We're going to clean this up too eventually, but here's our customers. We can add customers. We can come in here and edit customers and save things. Basically, what I want to do is when I come in here, I want to click on a customer to open a detail form, and I would be able to press a button that lets me add a note, save the note, etc. So we're going to crank through this, and we're going to try and go pretty quick because I'm limiting myself to 30 minutes because I have 1,000,001 things always to do, but I really do enjoy doing these streams. So let's get to it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create the customer. We're going to check to see if we have a route to get a single customer. So it looks like I have, I don't. So Query. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do if let ID query equals open query. We're creating a query that we're gonna pass in to the get customer, the controller.get customers command there, and it's gonna let us find a single customer and return it back. So if rec.params.id d not equals undefined, or rec.params.id not equals null, to make sure that we don't have a null or undefined. Query equals, gonna open that, underscore ID, because that's how Mongoose likes it, rec.params.id. Now if you have, I'm doing this quickly here, and if I was designing this API that would to be a little more robust, I would create basically a helper function for this, so I don't have to worry about typing this out for every single get request get endpoint that I'm creating. I could just pass it through a function and then let it do that work, and then you can parse out other things of the query and do some other magic there. But for the time being, that's going to be what we're going to leave it at. So let's see here. Let's actually go over to controller.get customers and make sure that is set up right. And I don't have the query actually being passed through. So query, pass that in, save that. Okay, cool. So now we can get a single customer by an ID, and that's going to hook off of the ID query parameter. So if it would be whatever our URL is /API/customers/ whatever the ID of the customer, and should pass it in. So that's good. That's what we want. Now heading down into the, actually, you know what I'm also going to do, as I said I would, so I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, because I noticed in my when I watched my last stream, it was a little difficult to see. So I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. I'm going to get rid of my terminal, so I got some more room on the right hand side here. So hopefully people can see that a little bit better. So we're in the Vue app itself, and let's go into our views. We have customers, we have index. Let's create a new file and call that details.vue. And we're going to scaffold this file. We're going to scaffold this file. Come on, IntelliSense, really? Okay, never mind. We'll copy paste over here. So I actually need to get a new computer to do this streaming. I'm working off of my laptop here, and it, for the most part, has been pretty good. The problem is when I have too much going, my laptop's really good for doing development on, but when I'm developing and streaming at the same time, I tend to notice it gets bogged down, and my last video that I did last week came out like utter garbage simply because the CPU was pegged. And there was another application running in the background, and I removed that, and it was a driver utility that was installed with this docking station I'm using, which was dumb. But I had to uninstall that. I need to get a new computer, and I've got a couple video cards laying around that I can use. It's probably going to make my life a whole lot easier, but I just haven't done it yet. So, all right, so let's get rid of a lot of this stuff we got going on here. What I did is I just copied and pasted this. Oh, thought I heard something weird. Sorry, apologize. What I did is I just copied this over from our index.vue because IntelliSense does not seem to be working right now. All right, so there's that. We're going to do customers detail. We don't need this UID, I don't think, here. We're going to need that created function. We don't need to generate a new customer. Get customer data we will get. We're going to pass in. Actually, one of the other things we're going to do is we're going to do props. Open this guy up. I think the props is open like that. And we're going to do customer ID, and we're going to set that to a string. So when we create this component, when we call the component using the router, when it loads this in, we're going to pass in a customer ID, and that customer ID is going to be used under this get customer data. We're basically going to modify this so this way it only grabs a single customer. And we can get rid of all this for now. We will eventually want to be able to edit the customer within the detail view, but for now all we want to do is get the data. So get customers, that's fine, that's fine. This is where we want to go ahead and use this customer ID, excuse me. Okay, so that's fine. And I'm going to get rid, our toolbar we want there so we can use that for, I should have left that for the notes too. That's okay. We'll get rid of that. We'll come back to that later. We're just going to do H1, and we're going to do, change this to customer because it's a single customer. And we're going to use a little bit of mustaches. Customer.firstname space customer.last name. So when the component's loaded, it should show me my first name and my last name of my customer. That's all I want to see right now. That's all I really care about, to be honest. And we're probably beyond. The only thing we're going to do in here after this is we're going to add in a couple of child components that basically going to be using a VF, so a V4, so it's a repeating component to show all the notes that are tied to a customer. So let's see, customer ID, first name, blah, 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 blah. That all looks good. Let's check out our get customers function here under the services, and let's see how that looks. Get customers. Okay, so I don't have a way of doing getting a customer ID, so we'll pass in customer ID, and we will do let URL equals. We're going to move this guy up here, so it's going to equal that, right? And then we'll do if customer ID URL equals, we'll do some interpolation here, URL / customer ID, which should pass in the customer ID. It should only append the customer ID if customer ID is actually passed through. And then we set this to URL, and that's fine. So that's good. And the other thing we want to do, and I might have to look up some documentation on this one because I don't remember how to do this off the top of my head, but we're going to go over to our index here. We got first name, last name. We got edit here. Okay, so there's our edit. We're going to step this down, and I'm going to put a pipe in here so that that'll look a little nicer under the actions. And we're actually going to do a router link. Router link. And I have to look up how to do a router link because I don't remember how to do a router link. I don't know if I'm talking okay or if this is coming out all right with my microphone, so talk a little bit louder. Let's see, we want to do a VueJS router link. Take a sip of water. Okay, so router link tag li 2. So 2 is where we want to do. That's the location. 2 path home parameters right here. This is basically what we want to do. So we're going to get this guy out of here. And let's see. Come back in here and 2 like that. And we will make this details. And we'll close out the router link. Router link. There we go. All right, so that's like that. Now we don't want to pass in user 1, 2, 3. We don't want to say the name is actually going to be customer. We'll just name it customer detail. We're not going to make it a child route. We're just going to set it like that. Parameter is going to be customer ID, and we're going to do props.item. Let's see, what did I do? How does this model look? It should return _ID because we're pulling it right from Mongoose and leaving it like that. All right, so like that. So I believe, a thing called love. What this will do is, let's get rid of this guy here. What this is going to do is when you click on this link, it's going to navigate to the route named customer detail and pass in the customer ID. That was the prop that we created earlier. Actually, no, I was going to set the params. The prop, I forgot we're going to do inside of the router, the actual router configuration itself. But it's going to pass in props.item, which is our actual row, and then _ID, that's the object that's assigned to that row. Okay, so that looks good. Let's go back to our files and go to router. Let me see, we got most of this stuff all kind of gotten rid of. So we're going to create a new route, path I don't know if I can do customer slash. We'll just do customer detail. Customer detail name. Customer detail and component. And we're gonna lazy load because we like to load lazily. Import. And if I haven't explained before, the @ actually resolves to the src folder, the source folder. So views dot slash customers slash detail dot view, right? Details dot view. Customer details. So that, okay, that's there, good. And ESLint is complaining about some semicolons, and we listen to ESLint because I like ESLint. And some hanging commas and some semicolons, and get rid of that. And we don't like you because we want to bring you out to four spaces, because I don't know how you people feel, but I like 4 spaces. I like my code to be spaced out a little bit more. I don't like to see it all jammed against one side of the screen. Check something real quick. It's not received video from the video source. It's interesting. Okay. Let's see. So the route is there. That's there. We got to figure out how to do the parameters. So let's look at let's see, view router, router view props. Let's see, is that what I'm looking for? No, I don't think so. So that will pass in like that. And I'm looking to see in the router configuration, see construction options, routes, path, components, props. Props? Let's do another googly search here. Let's do view router props. Let's see what this returns back. Passing props to route components. Looks pretty promising. Routes, path, user ID, components, user, props, true. There we go. Okay, so we got to do path. Wait, hold on a sec. Path, user, customer detail, / No, that's not what we're looking to do. Components, user, sidebar, blah. Might have to play around with this one a little bit. I've done this before. I know what I'm doing. Let's see, call it in view. I guess we would want to do that, where we would do ID. Yeah, let's look at another article. Here we go. Looks like I visited this link before, so this is probably the one I would reference before. Thank you to Patrick O'Dacry from June 15, 2017 for helping me out with this. Components, yeah, you kind of reference that too. Props, true. Ah, it's CodePen. Let's look at the CodePen. Love me some CodePens. CodePens, CodePens, CodePens. Alright, so let's see, HTML, params, okay. Data, this not selected user, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Oh, maybe that is what we need to do. So customer detail, let's see. I think that is what we need to do now that I'm looking at this. So we'll do customer detail, and we'll do / customer ID, and we will do props true, like that. All right, let's go back here and let's see what happens here. Let this guy refresh. We got nothing. Why do we got nothing? It's going to complain about something. What are we complaining about? Come on, insert F2, F12. Do. I broke something in my call here, I'm sure. So let's go into the service and we'll do, let's see, console.log. I'm sure I did not do this correctly. So I'll refresh this. Okay, customers. Huh. Interesting. Let's do, I'm actually going to break out my terminals here. I want to see what we're looking at. So 304 customers. Let's see here. I'm going to console log this and see, what did I do here? We're going to go into, see for, I'll break out this terminal so people can see what I'm seeing too. Let's see, put that guy out, okay. So we're going to go into the API and we're going to see if the change that we made, see this is why I like to get in a better habit of writing more tests before I do this stuff, because I make a change and I break something and I don't know what I broke. So console.log, let's log the query here. Let's see what this looks like. Alright, save this. Node is going to reboot. NodeMon is going to reboot our stuff. Okay, so now that that's rebooted, let's go back into our Vue app and let's refresh it and let it make its call to the API, and let's see what this passes in. Come on, baby. Alright, so ID is undefined, but I thought I fixed that. Why did it do that? Let's see, let's go into our routes. If ID or, there we go. And we're gonna and. So I did this as an or. So if it is not equal to undefined or if it's not equal to null. Well, technically undefined is not equal to null, so it still counted this as being true. And it passed this in just the way I didn't want it to in the first place. So let's save that and let the Node API reboot. Let NodeMon work its magic, and we'll go back to our Vue app, refresh this. And there we go. Route with name customer detail does not exist. Alright, so it doesn't like something I do with my routes. My router, rather, in here. Customer detail does not exist. Okay, so what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to kill the Vue app, and we're going to let this recompile and see if that makes a difference, because I added a route without restarting the whole thing, and I don't recall if that makes a difference. It's loading, it's loading, it's loading. I don't know if you can call by path too, so calling by path just kind of seems to make more sense to me, honestly. So while that is loading, we're going to do Vue router. Okay, here we go. Vue route. Oh no, there's that. There's that. Vue router. Do router link. Probably should have done router link. Vue router dash link. Router link. Reference Vue router. Router link 2. 2 looks like where I want to go to. Path. There you go. Let's name it's a path. Change path, customer ID. I don't know if I have to put the customer ID in there. Well, anyway. See, this thing is still going, and I have no idea if my video is getting locked up all messed up right now, too. So, It is still thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking. There we go. All right, it finished. Now, let's go back to, geez, there we go. Too many windows open. So let's go back here, refresh this, and see if it still doesn't like that. Yeah, it still doesn't like that. Customer detail does not exist. It looks like I spelled it right too. So let's try and change it to path and see what happens. So we'll go into, actually want to go back into our index view, and we're going to get rid of this now that we know everything is up and running. And we're going to change name, we're going to change it to path. And let's save that. Come back in here, refresh our stuff. Getting close to being done time here too, so probably just wrap this up by getting the detail form working. Let's see what goes. Okay, so it seems to link me to customer detail, but it does not pass in the IDs. So let's try doing this. Customer ID. Okay. Let's let that guy go. It did route me to customer detail, but it didn't pass in the ID. So let's go back to customers. Let's refresh us again. Let's go to detail. It's just passed in customer ID. Yeah, I know that's not going to work. I'm missing something. What am I missing? See, this is a fun part of code. This is the stuff that I like. I like the problem solving. Building stuff is fun, but problem solving is just great. All right, let's go back to our last example we were on, and let's see what they do. So they're calling user. It just name is user. You know, path is home, rather than path there. Okay, so params looks like what we want. It looks like we can use the path here, and it should pass it through, but it doesn't seem to be, even though we use that props true. So let's go back to our medium example that we had. Let's get rid of this because that didn't do us no good. Params is right. Customer ID, props, item ID. Unless it needs it to be name, which doesn't make any sense. But you know, we'll do a copy, and we'll copy and paste this over here. It doesn't look like I did anything wrong there. Yeah, guys, got component props true, unless path ID component props is true. Stream allows you to use the component anywhere, make the component easier to reuse and test. We're going to solve this before we're done. I'm calling it now. We are going to solve this before we are done. Let's refresh. We don't like that. Let this guy load. Customer detail, we ain't got no customer detail, so we're not going to want to do nothing for us. Let's go back to customers. Okay, go to click on detail. Doesn't even do anything. What am I missing? There's the path component. Stupid. I didn't spell name correctly. That would make sense why it didn't like me. See, all this that I talk about, hey, it's awesome, you know, typos, whatever, and here it's just me being stupid. Or it's fun trying to solve problems, it's just me missing stuff out. So, okay, so I saw it made the request. I'm not seeing the data here, though. So, here's my request. It passed in customers, and there's that. Did we get a response? What did we do this at? There was a get, okay. the response. Okay, it passes back our one thing, but I could see it did the data. Okay, so it actually did make the call to the API properly. It didn't seem to pull back the right dude, which is me. So then let's go ahead and check our details view, and this dot customers. Okay, there we go. So we'll do let response equals that, and it looks like it returned data. Returned the thing in data. Now, did I parse that out? Because it's still returning. It's still returning an array. So I did response.data.data. Okay, cool. So we will do let this dot let. Let's see. No. This dot customer equals. Let's see. What would it be? This dot customer equals response. First item in the array. Let's go ahead and save that and refresh this. There we go. That's what I expected. 901 too. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. So it took a little bit longer than I expected, as usual. I got to work on my timing, I guess, and try not to cram so much stuff into one sitting. And that's the problem when it comes to development with me, is I can just go. I think the one night I went to Panera and disappeared for 3 hours and didn't even realize I was there for as long as I was. We're talking a couple weeks ago, giant snowstorm too. That was fun. But yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of the way it goes. So as a recap, what we did is we added a details view. We added some extra functionality in the API to be able to query a single customer as opposed to just getting a batch of customers back. We set up the view router. We set up the router link in the details in the table view, which is here. So it doesn't like that. Hold on. I'm gonna have to fix that at some point later. Just the way that the routing's happening. So it's from here we set up our details button. Click on the next one. You can see that pulls in the right data there. In the link, in the router link itself, it's passing this in as a parameter, and that is being put into the properties. Customer ID is string. That's calling the get customer service, which we also modified to be able to accept a customer ID, and that's how we're getting back our single customer. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and call this one for the night. I appreciate you joining with me, and again, do me a favor, like, subscribe, do whatever the social networks do, and also another piece of news. I think I finally got a good topic for a podcast I'm going to get started here soon. What it's basically is going to be is a little snippets and like kind of think 10 to 15 minute segments on a specific framework or library when it pertains to JavaScript. For example, if we were going to do Vue, I'd kind of explain the basics of what Vue is and how it works and how to get set up with it, what its purpose is, who wants to use it, who doesn't want to use it, kind of things of that nature. But I'll be selecting random libraries, and the things that I'm interested in are things that people are interested in hearing about. Doing a little bit of the research, perhaps putting together an article or something on my website so people can follow along there. But I'd appreciate your feedback. Contact me on any of the various social networks. I'm at Brian Morrison ME on Twitter. On there all the time, so that's an easy way to reach out to me. Or Brian at brianmorrison.me is the email address. Or visit my website, brianmorrison.me. Really appreciate the feedback. And with that, everybody have a good evening. Bye-bye.